Good day, guys, Austin here, and in this one today, it's time for a bit more of Emu-Nation. Now in this one, we're going to be going pretty special. In fact, we're going to go in off the hook, because we're doing things that we don't normally do. Now Emu-Nation is normally anything to do with emulation, front ends, gaming, anything technical, or to be honest, anything that floats my boat. But today, we're going purely into the arcades. Now, normally we were going down the MAME kind of route, or, I don't know, one of the other more advanced ones, but today, we're going complete advanced. We're going to be looking at the most advanced games you can play in the arcades, and we're going to be seeing how we can play them on our PCs. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay, so like I talked about, today's is a special one, because today's we are going into probably my most favourite side of the arcade scene, which is the PC-based arcades. Now, of course, in the past, in my videos, in all kinds of stuff which you will normally find on the internet for the emulation side of things, you will see MAME, Demu, all kinds of stuff which get your arcade games working on your PC. What I'm talking about today is actual arcade games which are based on a PC. Not PC games, but actual arcade games which run from a PC inside it. It's logical, because these are the most modern games. What's the point in putting a console in there? Because then you're developing an actual console just to go to an arcade, when the console would have been developed from the PC in the very beginning. It would have been programmed on a PC, so why not cut out the middleman and just put one in there? However, as I've talked about time and time again, these PCs are very specific depending on what type of game you are running. So each game wants and needs a certain build of PC, a certain operating system, a certain CPU, graphics card, so on and so forth. So if it doesn't find that kind of stuff, it can run into trouble. So what happens is people climb all over these, they change the configs, hack and slash, do all kinds of stuff to them to kind of port them from the one specific build which they are programmed from, to make them more accessible to us, so we can play them on our PCs, our more generic based ones. And of course, even then we run into some troubles depending on what type of game we're running, due to the way they've been made. So some of them will demand a Nvidia card, some of them will demand an ATI card, some of them will want a certain operating system, and there isn't much that we can do about them in some cases. However, because these have been around for some time now, people have climbed all over them, and they are about as compatible as they can get them. The scene slowed down for a while, and there hasn't been many unearthed, or at least brought to the public for some time. What you got to take into consideration is that these machines cost an awful lot of money. These machines are on shop floors as we speak. However, what you cannot do is pop down to the local shop and purchase one of these games. They're hard to get your hands on, even harder when it comes to that kind of money. So getting dumps of these games so people can actually climb all over them and configure them to play on our PCs is hard work and very rare. So in the past few months, even years maybe, the scene has kind of slowed down, and there hasn't been that many releases compared to how many games are out there. Now, some people like to dump them, but some people like to keep them private. There's an awful lot of scenes revolving around these, with all different types of views, all different types of ethical stuff, copyright things. It's a whole minefield when it comes to this side of the emulation, arcade and gaming scene, and one that I don't like to step into very often, because it becomes a very heated discussion and people frown upon certain things. However, what I would like to bring to you is the games which have come to our attention very recently, because some dumps have been leaked, some dumps have came out, some dumps have been released of all these games, and people are climbing all over them to bring us the new evolution of the PC arcade games. So now I've got that out of the way, giving you some history, let's have a look at some of the games which are being worked on as we speak. So, some of these are working, some of these are completely playable. Some of them are very restrictive on what kind of setups you need in your PC, and some of them are just on the fringe of about to be unshackled from the chains so everybody else can enjoy them. But this is what we got going on. First up then, Tank. This is well, as you can see, it's a tank game. Very random, and it's an arcade game. So there's nothing serious going on. It's all about pinching your pennies. It's quick blast, fun, energetic action. And that's about all you can say for that kind of stuff. This one is Dance Evolution, and apparently it's fully playable, but you do need the Xbox Connect to make this work. Now, I'm going to be going into a lot more detail on these games and showing you how you can get each one of the more playable ones working on your PC. But as you can see, this one's... I don't know. I like it. Anything that gets a guy like this on the street acting like this has got to be a good game at the end of the day. Maybe not my tipple of choice, but... what can you say? It's an arcade game at the end of the day. Elsewhere then, we've got some other randoms like Dead Heat. Looks like a good racing game. I'm not sure how multiplayer this can be, but from the looks of it, you could probably land these games up. I know with the wacky races and stuff like that, which has already been dumped, and on my channel, you can actually land up together and get a local area network game going. You can also connect through all kinds of netplay utilization using third-party programs, but it's not exactly a quick fix, but very much single player enabled. Elsewhere then, we've got FNF Superbikes 2. Not really a Superbike fan myself, but well, it's an arcade game at the end of the day, so it's not exactly going to be a simulator, is it? It's going to be all about the fun. I'm not sure how much these controls have been dumped. It is a fully working game, but I know that at this moment you need a very specific PC to get this working. But again, I'm going to be covering these as we go along. Now, one of these games which I've been looking out for a while is Terminator Salvation. I've been wanting this because, I don't know, I'm a big fan of shooting games, and to be honest, this one looks kind of cool. The actual arcade cabinet itself, it just enthralls me. I used to live by the seaside and it had an arcade in there, and one of the games was this one. Now, it was pretty cool. It had shotguns and all kinds of stuff that you could link up with it to make it happen. But I think I'm just biased because I'm a huge Terminator fan. And although this is Terminator Salvation, it's, well, for me, the movie wasn't really a Terminator movie for me. Yes, it was an alright movie, but it's not holding true to the franchise. It was just a bit random for me. Anyway, a bit off topic there. The game itself is more in tune with Terminator 2, to be honest. And it's an arcade game at the end of the day with Terminator stuff going on in it. So you can't get much better than that. So as soon as this does become playable, which I believe at the moment it isn't, I cannot wait to jump all over it. But the fact that somebody's now got their hands on it now opens that can of worms. Another game that I believe is starting to work, and a huge favourite of mine in the franchise, is Wangan Midnight Maximum Tune 3. Now, I love all the Wangan Midnights. In fact, I love all these type of games. The Jap-tuned car scene is huge for me. It's what I started off when I was a kid. I had my little Honda Civic, and it was tuned to the maximum with a big fat exhaust, and everybody hated me because my car was louder than a nuclear bomb. But this game is awesome, and I love everything about it. So, I cannot wait to get this up and running. And as soon as I do, like all the other games in this, I'm going to share it with you. Elsewhere then, we've got some huge updates to some of the arcade builds which we've already got in our midst. Now, the first one is Super Street Fighter Arcade Edition 2012. Now, we've had this for some time, and we've had a few additions to it. We've had some patches to enable us to get all the characters, so on and so forth. And, well, it's been good. However, there has just been an updated version. We're now on version 1.3. Now, this is the last version before Street Fighter 4 turned into Street Fighter 4 Ultra. So, yeah, it's a good and it's a fine addition to our arcade cabinets. I cannot believe that someone managed to actually source this one, to be honest. Elsewhere then, we've got King of Fighters 13 Climax. Now, beforehand we had normal King of Fighters, and to be honest, it was pretty damn good. However, for those of you who played it in the arcade, you probably would have noticed that there is some, I don't know, balancing issues. Not so much with the characters, but with the actual gameplay itself. You could literally go on an unbeatable combo which was infinite. So in other words, as soon as you started beating up on the other guy, there was no way to counter it, and you could just wipe the floor all the way through it without the other guy being able to defend it, which to be honest was awesome for the guy who was winning everything, but pretty crappy for the guy who couldn't even counter any of the moves. So what they made was King of Fighters 13 Climax. Now this one is, I don't know, the Steam version, King of Fighters 13 Steam. This is the version just before this. So yes, it's prior to it, but it's got all the fixes in it. The only difference between the Steam version is that some of the characters have been rebalanced, but the gameplay itself has been fixed. So, an awesome addition to our arcade cabinets again. Now, I could go on and on all day, literally, with all the new games which are hitting our screens right now. Now, I want to dedicate each game to a video to show you how to get it up and working, running on your PC, hopefully. I cannot guarantee it for all the games, and I cannot guarantee it on all the PCs out there. Some of these games are very specific, like we talked about, what it needs to get it working on your PC. But at least now, you can see the kind of games which are available to us. You've just got to open up your horizons, look in certain places, i.e. my channel, and of course the links that I provide for you, and yeah, we'll climb this mountain of gamey goodness together. Well, that's about it for today's Emu-Nation, guys. Hopefully it's opened up your horizons and brought some new games that you are salivating for. I will be bringing these to you in the future, but at least now you know what to look for. There's lots more to come. I'm trying to get as many Emu-Nations out to catch up on all this as possible, but please bear with me. There is other stuff on the agenda too, including the emulation guides, the competitions, the bloody, I don't know, absolutely everything. But again, thanks for joining me today, guys. Please like, please subscribe, please do all the things that people normally do in this chaotic world of arcade games. But most of all, you have a good day. Laters.